So we have a few things going on at the moment. So we've got Mercury in retrograde, and then tomorrow is the Lionsgate portal, the 7/7 portal. So there's a lot of energy flying around. There's a lot of people are being presented with some tests where there's some little lessons that need to be learned for them to be able to move forward. There's just seems to be a lot of things that are popping up for people, and a few things that are almost popping up out of left field for people, things that were not being expected. So let's see what collective we're tapping into today. I'm seeing a lot of blue this morning, so you might be a water sign, but what's the energy that's around my collective, please? Let's see what's going on. We're about to come up to some big planetary shifts, alignments over the summer. There's some big when I tell you I am flabbergasted that this is the first card to come out, marriage. So there is there's some massive shifts coming for people where people have ticked off some really, really big lessons, and they're sort of moving towards that. This is similar to the last reading that I did, that people are really moving towards like their happy ever after, their 10 of Cups moment. There's a big wave coming, I believe, for divines over the summer with the eclipses, where a lot of people that are in twin flame connections, that are in soul connections, that are on divine journeys, are coming into union with their people. So, I mean, obviously we will look into this as we go further. I don't want to say too much right off the get-go, but there's something here about a deeper commitment, a deeper level of a relationship, a connection coming towards you, or that coming from a connection that you're already in. So potentially marriage coming, and with sturdy on the bottom of the deck as well. So this is about building a solid foundation, a sturdy foundation, somebody that you could build a solid life with, which is interesting with that marriage card there. But obviously let's get, oh, hang on, that's way too many. Let's get some more details about what it is that's around your energy. But that being the first card to come out is very interesting. So you are going through a stage of renewal at the moment. You're entering a phase of fresh energy. So you may have been feeling worn out. You may have been feeling like things have been quite challenging, and you've gone into a period of rest, it seems, from that. So you might have even been going through a bit of a rebirth after some lessons that have been learned, which has then enabled this new energy, this stronger foundation to start coming towards you. But there's a lot of change that's happening. Yeah, because look, you're coming into union, but with the universe, with yourself, which then is gonna in turn bring like-minded people towards you, bring people that you're in alignment with towards you. But there's going to be a lot of changes that are happening around you at the moment, and you may feel a little bit uneasy because of that, where you can't see what's coming at the moment. But the changes that are happening around you are so necessary for this transformation that you're going through, that it's really important that you embrace them. The Sacred Union card has literally come out. I'm absolutely blown away by that. Look, whoever's a part of this collective, please don't make this fit, my lord. Please do not make this fit, because not everybody is going to be coming into some kind of union with their twin flame, with their soul connection, however that may look for you. This is going to be a very unique reading, and it's not going to be for everybody. So it's really, really important that you don't make a reading like this fit, because if you focus on coming into union within a twin flame dynamic and you're not part of this collective, you're going to push it further away from yourself. So I'm going to stop in a minute and get some details so that you're able to tell if this reading is for you, because discernment is going to be really, really key here. Please don't make that fit if it doesn't seem like it's your reading and there's something that isn't quite fitting in, then don't take it, because you're going to end up pushing your union further away. But this card says two powerful forces are uniting, whether in a relationship or within yourself. This union brings energy and growth. Embrace this connection. It will lead to a deeper understanding and a transformation. But you are at the, okay, so then you've got the Cupid Deep Challenge, which is about going through challenges in love, which is exactly the purpose of a twin flame connection. So there will have been lessons that you needed to learn within this scenario, and you will have likely faced some difficult challenges within the connection with this person, but you will have been working through those, both of you, and you will have entered, for this to be coming into union as well, you will have entered into a state where you are fully focused on yourself, and you're really embracing that, embracing relearning about yourself, like coming into union with yourself. There's things from the past that you will have let go of, able to allow this new energy, this union energy, to come towards you. This is really powerful. And for that marriage card to be the first card, as I said, there's been tests here, and the tests have allowed the renewal. That's what's brought in the renewal here. So whatever you've been tested with of recently, you've acted differently. So again, if you haven't had something pop up recently, a scenario where you've acted in a different way to how you have done like through your whole life, this is not your collective, because there's something that you've been tested with here, and you have chosen a different approach, and it's created some form of a renewal. It's created fresh energy, and that in turn is bringing in the union. And the sturdy card has literally come out. So you have worked towards building a stronger foundation. Right, let's get some details, because it's really important to me that people don't make this reading fit, because otherwise it's going to give people hope for something that likely isn't coming towards them. It's very, I don't want to say it's very difficult, but I do think it's very rare for a twin flame connection to come into union. It takes a lot of work from both parties. There's a lot of lessons, a lot of trials, tribulations that a lot of the time people just aren't willing to walk through. They're not willing to face. They're not willing to be a part of that journey, you know. So it's really important that you don't make this fit. But on the bottom of the deck, you're being asked to trust and observe. So I think you know from the work you've done and the way you've turned it inwards that this is a possibility, but you're being asked to really trust in your divine team, trust in the path that you're on, trust that you're being guided to where it is that you need to be. So even if it's not the person that you're imagining that shows up, you need to trust that this is your soul union, this is your sacred union coming towards you, and it's the journey that you're meant to be on. It's the path that you're meant to be walking. So just trust that, and just observe at the moment. Don't try not to control things, you know. Just trust in what's being brought towards you. Surrender to your journey, surrender to your guides. This is a time of openness and new possibilities. Are you ready to embrace them? Stay open to new experiences, and you might find unexpected opportunities. I'm just going to get one more card from this deck, and then I'm going to get some details for this connection, so you know whether it's for you or not. And last card to come out is the twin flame card. Stop it. No. Oh my god. Someone is coming into union. There is a collective that is coming into union. And what did I say at the beginning? That there was a wave coming over the summer with the triggers, with the planetary alignments that we've got coming. This is a wave of the collective that is, I believe, potentially coming into union with their twin flame. Right, I want to get some details here so that you know whether this reading is for you. So I'm going to get my astrology card, and then I'll go to those little black cards and we can see what your actual connection was. Because for it to be a twin flame dynamic, it's likely that it was slightly explosive. I don't know if that's a bit dramatic, but there would have been problems within the connection almost straight away, because that's entirely what a twin flame connection is for. It's a mirrored connection. It comes in to highlight things within you that you need to heal in order to be in an emotionally grounded and stable connection. Right, please give me some details on who this reading is for. Please don't make this reading fit. We need the signs to come out here so that we can give some more detail, because this isn't going to be for everybody. This is going to be a special one. I wasn't expecting this morning, I've got to be honest. So we've got Capricorn, so earth signs potentially, but Capricorn, first card out. Scorpio. So earth and water at the moment. Aries, so we're adding in a bit of fire. So all we need now is air, and we've got a full set. So that gives us a lot of detail. We have Virgo as well, so strong on the earth signs, so earth, water and air there. We do have Leo on the bottom of the deck, but I've got to be honest, I think that's pointing to the eclipses. I think it's pointing to Leo season. The 7/7 portal tomorrow is the Lionsgate portal. So it's literally what we've got coming up. So that's probably why that is showing up. Right, please give me some details on the connection before it broke apart. What was this connection like? Let's see. So there's a lot of reminiscing. Oh, there's a lot of reminiscing that's going on here. Either they or you are looking at photos, missing nostalgic sort of memories. But there has been sabotage here. There has been something that has broken down, but it has broken down in order for it to be worked on, to be rebuilt. Twin flame dynamic will always break apart, and it's necessary because it's in the separation energy that you learn the lessons. You see what's being mirrored to you and what it is that you need to heal, and without healing those wounds you would never be able to be in a stable connection with that person anyway. So it's imperative that you go off and that you learn those lessons separately to come back together in the future. It's so necessary for the survival of the relationship. It would never survive anyway if that wasn't to happen. But at the moment, the person that you're attached to they're being strategic. They're not showing at the moment what's going on. So it's likely that you've got absolutely no idea what's going on at the moment because they're hiding things, but for a strategic reason. And this was done in a very shocking way, which has become a bit of a block for you. So this was very sudden. It obviously wasn't something that you were expecting, and it's caused a lot of upheaval, but the suddenness of it, the shockingness of it is what's caused the transformation. So again, it needed to be like that. So you're viewing it as a block. Yeah, and straight away with the Ascension. You're viewing it as a block, but it wasn't a block. It was necessary. It was absolutely necessary. My voice is going for my confirmation. It was absolutely necessary for it to be done in that shocking way, for you to be able to learn the lessons that you needed to learn from this scenario. We've got engagement rings on the bottom of the deck. You could have a serious committed situation coming towards you now from the back of this, from the cards that we saw in the beginning. And there would have been a lot of playfulness, a lot of happiness within this connection at the beginning. And it needed to be broken down. And my ear's going now as well. This is a special collective. It needed to be broken down in order for it to be rebuilt with stability, with permanence, so that there would be growth so that you would be able to endure the time needed for a long relationship, you know. It was absolutely necessary. The soulmates. I'm absolutely blown away by this reading, because we've had such heavy readings as well, because for the best part of the beginning part of the year, the collective energy has been so chaotic. There's been so much going on, but it was for all of this purpose. This is what I've been trying to explain to people in my private readings and stuff. The difficulties, the lessons, it's all necessary to get you to this point. And unless you endure that, unless you walk through those fires, you're never going to land in this with your soulmate, in this kind of stability where you've got permanence, where you're both experiencing growth. You know, it was necessary for you to reach that point with this person. But at the moment, I don't know if there's actual movement coming yet. We will check this again in a minute, because they are being very strategic still. They're not showing their hand at the moment for some reason. There's something that's holding them back. But again, they may be being held back from the divine because of a lesson that you needed to learn. We can try and check all of this. I always say things like this and then I forget to check stuff. That was too many. The clock with the cycles, there were cycles that needed to close out. There were big lessons at play here, big cycles at play. And that, again, the cycle is one of the reasons why it needed to be so shocking. So there may be things that you're unaware of that were playing out in their life that needed to happen in that way. But you are moving on to your abundant timeline now. This has shifted you massively onto your abundant timeline. This is a nice reading. Whoever's a part of this collective, I think you're going to be happy when this comes towards you. Let me check movement. Let me see if there's actually any movement coming here, because this is interesting to say the least. I wonder whether this is going to be a part of the eclipse triggers, whether this will like come potentially come back together after eclipse season or during eclipse season. Confession on the bottom of the deck. Or during eclipse season. So it will either be like August, September sort of time. Let's see. Is there any movement coming? Do you know what? I'm going to check both. Let's check both. So is there any movement coming between now and August? So this is before eclipse season. Okay, so there were things that they weren't being completely truthful with you about within this connection. They were being a little bit sneaky. We've got date night. But I want to see actual communication here. Oh, that was hiding underneath. There may have been that. That was quite a. Hang on, I'm going to put those back because that was quite a lot of cards, and I don't want a detail like that to be mistaken. Okay, so you would have shared a pet with this person. So this is another detail. Don't make that fit. There's a detail about pets. So you either shared a pet or did stuff together with your pets, you know, like walking the dogs, things like that. But there's something to do with pets here that is significant, and Mercury retrograde. Now we are in a Mercury retrograde currently, so that could be why this is coming out. Also Mercury retrograde, communication issues. So you may have had communication issues with this person, so it could be that. But it also could be that this was triggered, the breakdown of the connection in one of the previous Mercury retrogrades. I think we had one around February, March sort of time. Just get two more from this. So luck is on your side. We do have date night, but there's no actual communication here. Water signs on the bottom of the deck there, which is interesting because we had the water signs in that other deck. Right, let me check. Tell me if there's any movement now after eclipse season, please. So September. I think this is when we're going to see the movement shift, September. Is there any communication coming off in September? I think it will be off. They need that trigger. There'll be a cosmic trigger that's coming over eclipse season. Oh, that's 2 there. Just communication, please. Is there communication coming? Any movement coming? That's the second time that has come out. There's something to do with finances here. That maybe they're having financial issues. Maybe they feel that they were spending too much money and you need to be spending a little bit more. But there's something here to do with finances. They may have, again, that's the second time for that to come out. Again, another detail, so don't make it fit. There's something to do with pregnancy here. There is a detail about pregnancy. So you may have shared a pregnancy with this person. They may have had something to do with the pregnancy that was going on elsewhere that you are not aware of, or you may be aware of it, but there is something to do with pregnancy. Again, if you're part of this collective, you will know what that is. You won't be going, oh, I'm not sure what that bit, don't make these details fit. This is exactly what I mean when I say don't make the details fit. If you're part of this collective, you'll immediately be going, yeah, I know what that is. So if you don't, if you're not aware of that, then you're not a part of this collective. So you would have had a lot of sexual chemistry with this person. But again, just with the date night. So still, there's still no movement coming. That's very odd. Give it time, cycles. Divine timing is at play here. There's obviously something that is still closing out. It's not quite right, the timing. So it's in your energy field. So the energy of this is there. They're planning it. This is what they want to do. But in terms of actual movement, even to September, there's still no movement. I'm surprised by that. I am surprised by that. So let's see why. Where do I go for this? Let's maybe go to unspoken words. Why is there a lack of movement? Something's blocking it still. But what is that? Oh. Right, how's the masculine feeling towards this connection? Let's see what's going on with them. Because that's a bit odd that that's how they're feeling. That's the energy. But it might just be that that's the energy that's the divine energy. That's your soul connection, your person. But in terms of divine timing, it's not the right time yet. But the union energy is there, because otherwise I wouldn't be picking up on it. This is interesting. This is immediately. This is making me think of my reading that I did a couple of days ago. I think I did it on Friday because I didn't do readings over the weekend. What you're searching for may not be what you truly want. In that reading, because my brain has gone straight to that reading. In that reading, the collective's opinion of the masculine had been so, what's the word? Obliterated, that the divine were holding the masculine back. Because they knew that if they approached now, the feminines within the collective are just going to tell them to go away, because they've obliterated your opinion of them with their behavior. And this card says what you're searching for may not be what you truly want. I've got a feeling that that's why they're being held back at the moment, because of your opinion of them. So even though you're in union energy, you're in union energy because you've turned and focused on yourself. And a lot of the time that happens because the feminines get to a point where they've just had enough. They almost get the ick. They're like, oh, just get away from me. No, your behavior is so bad. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Just go away. And it's at that point when they truly detach and turn inwards that the masculine comes towards them. But by that point, a lot of the time, the feminines, they don't want them anymore. There's too much hurt. There's too much that's gone on. And this is from the masculine. I keep stepping towards you only to pull away again. But again, if they're being held back from the divine because they know, there's a reason. And this is interesting because I believe this is the same collective that I read for on Friday. And so there's a reason that that's coming up again. I just had a reminder pop up on my phone as well, a payment reminder that I've got something coming tomorrow. So it's like they're trying to remind you of things at the moment. If love had a weight, would you still carry it? They're trying to show you at the moment, I think, how magical, how wonderful this connection would be if you're able to look at it from that lens. And what did I say as well when I was reading those black cards? The way that this was done, the severity of the situation was absolutely necessary for your growth, for you. And this is why within a divine connection, it's so important to try and have this perspective, because a lot of the time the things that they've done that you're so hurt by, it was necessary for your growth. It was a lesson that you needed to learn. So that's why it's presented to you in this kind of dynamic. But when there's a lot, it depends what the scenario is within this situation. Sometimes when we stay in these situations for too long, we overlook the bad behavior and we don't choose ourselves. We build up so much resentment within that connection that this sort of scenario happens. When you actually do turn and focus on yourself, by the time you've reached that point, you no longer even want them, because there's so much hurt that's been caused. There's so much resentment that's been caused because you continue to look the other way and put up with their behavior. This is why it's so important to step away and turn and focus on yourself, so that you don't build up that resentment, so that you don't feel like you're carrying a weight around by having a love connection with somebody. It's almost like you've reached the point now where you're just like, I don't want that. It's just not worth it to me. But they're trying to get you to see, I think, and change your perspective on the masculine before they will allow them to come back towards you. You're very focused. There's something here about time. Again, I swear that came out in the reading on Friday. You're very focused on the amount of time that it's been. But healing, I mean, what I'm hearing is healing isn't linear. It can take however long it takes, you know. It's not, but you're very focused on the time. You think that this situation just isn't right for you anymore. Some things are not about, some things aren't about you not being good enough. They're just not right for you. I think this is what almost the mindset that you're trying to push yourself into. It's not that I wasn't good enough. We're just not in alignment, so I need to move on. But for some reason, I think that I think that this person is being held back from you because of your opinion of them. But I think that they think that you're almost sat there waiting. There's issues here about trust. I think you're wondering whether you could even trust this person if you were to reconnect with them. Let's see what shadows we've got at play here, because this is... obviously their behavior. There's something about time. There's something to do with the amount of time that it's been, and that's one of the things that has... it's almost like the amount of time that it's taken has slowly chipped away at your opinion of them. There's something significant about the time. So again, you will be aware of this if this is your collective. Right, what are the shadows that the collective have that needed to be worked through? Why is this being held back? Yes, you feel very betrayed. You have a betrayal scar from previous relationships. And I think you feel very betrayed by this situation. And I think that you feel that forgiving this person, it then means you're condoning their behavior. This is really difficult, but because within a divine connection, and this is only really true of divines, where you're within that community, where you're sat in that divine energy, you should be aware, and I was saying this on Friday as well, so you might want to watch that reading too if you're part of this collective. I was saying then, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. My brain, that's literally slipped out of my brain. Hang on. Sorry, that completely slips out of my brain. It happens sometimes when you're channeling, because it's not your thoughts, it's something that's coming in, and it can just go whoop if you're not quick enough to catch it. Sometimes it's gone. So I think you think that by forgiving them, you're condoning their behavior. But as a divine, as someone that's on a divine journey, you should be aware. And as I was saying this on Friday, you should be aware that these lessons are absolutely necessary in order for a divine connection to come into union and be a emotionally stable, grounding, happy place to be. But you're not seeing it in that way. So you're not seeing it correctly. You feel that by forgiving this person, you're basically condoning their behavior. But it's not about that. And this in turn has triggered a massive rebirth for you as well. So that this is the point. And I understand, believe me, I understand to my core, because I've been through things like this myself. I understand how hard it is to come to that realization. But if that hadn't have happened, you wouldn't have gone through this other rebirth, which is leading you to your soul. It's led you to your abundant timeline. Your abundant timeline, your twin flame union, which some people just wish for their whole lives and never manage to come into union, because it takes so much work, so much introspection. And the situation with this person, albeit probably incredibly painful for you, has led you to your abundant timeline. It's triggered a huge rebirth in you, where you've learned lessons that your soul has been needing to learn for such a long time. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. But you need to be able to see that. You have abandonment wounds. So this is and when I have a serpent guide, and when I start to channel them, I start to get a bit of a lisp, which, can you hear it now? So they're coming through to me now. So this is a huge transformation for you. You may have even undergone like a Kundalini awakening, like completely burst open your gifts. But because of your betrayal scar, because of your abandonment wound, you're struggling to see this from the right perspective, which is why this collective is coming out again, because this is the second reading that I've done in a row for this collective. So this is important, and there's something that you're still not recognizing. The lessons, the pain, all of it, it was absolutely necessary for your growth, and it has led you to your abundant timeline. So be thankful to that person. You're not condoning their behavior, but you're understanding that there were lessons that needed to be learned on both sides here in order for you to have a stable future. If you hadn't have learned these lessons and you'd have stayed within your connection with this person, you would have got 3-4 years down the line, it would have absolutely obliterated. There would have been so much pain, so much hurt then, you probably wouldn't have been able to come back from it. You wouldn't have ended up coming into union. So it would have ended in an absolute disaster. This is the way that it needed to be. It needed to play out in order for you to be able to have a stable future with this person. But you're not seeing that at the moment. You're so you're repressing emotionally. So you're holding in the emotions that you need to release to be able to process this, and that is what's keeping this person at arm's length from you. You need to let go of that old version of you that clung on to those limiting beliefs. Oh, but he did this to me, he's done that. It's not about that. It's not about that. And you need to recognize that if he hadn't have done this to you and he hadn't have done that to you, you wouldn't have gone through this rebirth. You wouldn't be walking your abundant timeline right now. And whether you end up in a union with this person or not, be thankful to them, because they got you to this point. They were a significant player in the game of your life. If your life was a little video game, they were a significant player that you needed to be on that level to be able to get up to the next level. If they weren't there and they hadn't created those towers for you, you'd be stuck on that previous level. But you've got to, it's about shifting your mindset. You've got to shift your mindset, because at the moment, this is why you're stuck. You're in a pause because you're not seeing it correctly. And you have a strong inner critic as well. So I think you're probably trying to work with that and shift things around and be like, no, but it was, they've done, I need to move forward. But you're not. It makes me wonder whether you're aware of whether this person is your twin flame, or whether you're questioning that, whether you're questioning like the journey, the veil. You were here to break down each other's veils so that you could see clearly, both of you. Here to be mirrors, to trigger these lessons so that you could go through this rebirth and step onto that abundant timeline. It was absolutely necessary for your growth, for you to move forward. Let's get some of these. I don't know if there's too much more to, I don't want to give too much information on this, because I feel like you need to experience the magic of it unfolding. Open your heart, be grateful, focus on gratitude, focus on things in your life at the moment that you're grateful for. It literally says, if I'd never crossed paths with you, my life would feel, my life would forever feel incomplete. This journey with them, the lessons that you've learned with them, is so significant. They are the other half of your soul. To come into union with the other half of your soul would just be the most magical thing. Open your heart, but you need to open your heart back up because you've closed it off. The possibility of accepting love exists even if my heart is temporarily closed. You've temporarily closed your heart. Open it back up. Why can I hear that song now, Sing Sweet Nightingale? What is that from? Sleeping Beauty? Sing Sweet Nightingale. That one. I won't sing too much, so I'm a terrible singer. What advice can you give this collective, please? That might be significant. What is that from? Is that Sleeping Beauty? Cinderella. it's from Cinderella. So that might be, oh, this is from Sleeping Beauty as well. Is it in both? Cinderella, I think it's Cinderella. So that might be a message for you. Right, what can we tell the collective, please? Yeah, you're going through a stage of restoration. So you are rebuilding at the moment. Things are restoring. But like I said, this person's being held at bay at the moment because of divine timing. Because there's something you're needing to shift your perspective on. So again, so I just realised, so where you're so focused on the amount of time that it's taking, it's taking that amount of time because you're not shifting your perspective, because they don't want them to come back towards you while you're still sat in this energy of blame, of judgment. They are very remorseful. Look, they're trapped in shame and guilt over their actions, but unable to come towards you, unable to express that because of the way you're feeling. Towards them. And I know it's a difficult thing to accept when someone has treated you really badly, and it's really difficult to sit there and think, oh, okay, well, they did that to me because I needed them to for this lesson. I get it, trust me. I know how hard it is. But you have the opportunity here to come into such a powerful, magical union that some people only dream of in their lives. And it just would be sad to miss that because you're stuck in a certain perspective on this person, when in actuality, if they hadn't have done that, you wouldn't be sat on your abundant timeline right now. They want to reach out. This is why I was so surprised, because this is in my external energy column. I was so surprised that there was no movement, flabbergasted, but this is why. They want to reach out. They want to talk to you. They want to move forward and try and resolve things, but they're being held at bay because of the divine timing. In fact, I'm going to get those cards in a second. I bet they're in a cloak of protection. They're probably in a cloak of protection from your energy so that they don't pick up on your feelings towards them, because that would likely push them further away and then they wouldn't approach. Cards are sticky. They don't want to come out. Which is then potentially why they're trying to be so strategic, because they're aware. They can probably feel some of their energy. These do not want to come out. But they have a strong attraction. That's weird that I said that. Attraction to you. I got addicted to you so easily, and I'm attracted to you in ways that are hard to explain, but that's that soul tie. Soulmate on the bottom of the deck. Oh my God. It would be sad to miss out on a connection like this because you're not able to change your perspective. What is happening now? I can't speak either. I'm getting tongue-tied. So you might be finding it hard to find your words, or that might be coming from this external energy where they're wanting to talk to you, but they're being held back. They're just like, they can't get their words out. This would be this is going to be a liberating situation for you. I think when you realize that actually it's coming back together, and you'll see the difference in them when they approach you, and it's going to restore things for you. It's going to liberate you. It's almost going to like restore hope in you. But you are picking up on this intuitively. So I think deep down you know this, but you're pushing it away. And again, I said that on Friday with that High Priestess card. Oh my God, if this is your collective, please go and watch that reading. Because I said that on Friday with the High Priestess card. You know this. You know all of this. But you're pushing it away. You're telling yourself it's not real. You're allowing yourself to be swayed by that, by the what is it, is it 85% of the population that are just in the robot, go to work 9 to 5, must earn money, must buy a house, must do this because that's what society tells us we have to do. You're being swayed by that because you've probably got people around you going, but he did this to you, but he did that. You can't just forgive that. That's so bad that he did that. But they don't. It's about understanding, truly understanding the divine journey and what that will bring you. It's about acceptance, accepting that those lessons were there for a purpose. And you know this. You do. You know this. You know this. This is exactly the same collective as Friday. And the chaotic energy that is around at the moment. There is so much chaotic energy that is flying around at the moment where these cycles are closing out. Interesting. Right, I just want to check if they're being shielded. Because I think they are potentially... Let's just get some of these Luminous Pathways cards. How long have we been going? 46. This will probably be my last deck that I get. Right, first of all, tell me about the masculine in this connection, please. The masculine is connected to my collective. I think they're probably in a protection cloak. Oh, the cards are sticky today. They don't want to come out. So they're going through a bit of a journey at the moment, but they're adapting with this flowing river. They're adapting to life's journeys. So they are working through things at the moment as well. With this enchanted forest too, there's inner child healing that's been done here. So childhood wounds. So you may have had a similar childhood to this person as well. You may have similar childhood wounds. These cards do not want to come out now. I feel like they don't want me to give much more information on this because it's meant to unfold the way that it's meant to unfold. The Falcon's flight perspective. It's so important that you try and shift your perspective here. That's what's going to bring freedom and movement to this situation. It's all about your perspective at the moment and how you're viewing things, and that you're viewing this with a 3D lens when it's a divine spiritual connection. So it needs to be viewed in that way. It needs to be treated in a different way. Astrological alignments, the astrological alignments that are coming over the summer are significant here. So there's something playing out over the summer in terms of lessons for one or both of you. Again, my brain just keeps being taken to those eclipses in August. I think you'll find that there'll be some shifts then. But it might be something that pops up for you over that time so that you're able to start viewing this in a different way. Let me just get a couple more cards to wrap up, please. They don't. Overcoming challenges. So you'll be overcoming the challenges and then the protection and then the eclipse. So there's protection in place at the moment while these things play out. There's astrological alignments. It's playing out in divine timing exactly as it needs to. They are holding this person back from you until you can truly view things in the way that you need to. There's things that need to shift within you. In fact, let me really quickly just get you some animal cards so we can just see where you're, because I'm hearing scarcity mindset, that you've got a bit of a scarcity mindset at the moment, and so you're trying to not control things, but you're trying to plan, scurry around. It's mouse energy because you're nervous. What is the current energy that my divine feminines are sat in for this collective, please? Maybe there's a message in Cinderella for you. What is the words of that song, Sing Sweet Nightingale? There's something about that song. So you've got the Buffalo card. So you are someone that's incredibly spiritually connected. So these are likely very, very big lessons for you. You're someone that walks that spiritual path, you know. You're very grounded to the earth, but you're also incredibly connected. And at the moment, you're working through dissolving ego. So the dragon is about dissolving your ego, allowing things like that to fall away. And this again is going to be about the lesson that you're needing to see here. The rebirth. You are going through a massive rebirth, death and rebirth cycle, which has been purely triggered by this person. You need to be thankful to them. You really need to shift your perspective on this, because this has brought you so much growth, that without them putting you into that fire, you would not have experienced. And you do have this like wild, untamed, free spirit. You're a very spiritual person. You have a lot of moon energy within you, so you really connect to lunar sorts of energies. But at the moment, there is a web of magic that is being woven. And the mouse on the bottom of the deck, that's the card that I was seeing, the scarcity mindset. There is a web of magic that's being woven for you at the moment by your divine team. But you are blocking it with this. You need to remove that scarcity mindset, remove that fear. I think you're probably, and the divine masculine, because they are your divine masculine. And I think you're slipping into fear because of past traumas. But what if it happens again? But what if they do it again? But you need to understand that this has moved you to your abundant timeline. And when you come into a sacred union, that behavior's gone. It's been worked through. It's not going to happen again. And you will have learned enough. I've got goosebumps over my whole body from saying that. You will have learned enough, and you will have enough discernment from this growth, from these lessons that you've just been through, that if they come towards you and they're not quite ready, they're not sat in this true divine energy, you will see it immediately, and then you don't have to move forward with them. You can just say, it's not the right time at the moment, sorry, and they will go off, probably do a bit more work, and then come back in this energy. But again, with the Scorpion on the bottom of the deck, the energies are lurking on the bottom of the deck that you need to let go of, because the mouse was there and now the Scorpion. So the Scorpion again has a bit of a sting in their tail, obviously. So this is going to be you with your, I don't know whether you're a reactive person, whether you have a bit of a temper, but it's the way you react to the conversation, the scenario that comes towards you, because again, it was necessary for your growth. So coming at that person and attacking them for what happened, for what they did, it's just going to push you apart again. And it's not necessary. And I don't say this lightly, because obviously if you're not within a divine connection and somebody is treating you less than you deserve, absolutely walk away from that person. Do not go back to that person. But this is the point, and this is why it's so important that you don't make readings like this fit, that this only applies if you're in a divine connection, because the lessons, the hurt, the pain is there to bring you growth, for your spiritual growth. But again, as a divine person, you will be aware of this. So if you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't be putting up with shit like that, I'm not going back to someone that treated me like this, they did that, you're not on this journey, or you're not ready to see that yet, and that's okay, that's fine. but it's so important that you don't make this reading fit, because otherwise we're going to end up with a bunch of people who are putting up with behavior that is way less than they deserve, because they're attaching a twin flame label to their connection that they're in that isn't a twin flame journey. If you're not moving forward spiritually, if you're not experiencing huge leaps of growth from the scenario that you've just been through, it's likely just some kind of connection, karmic connection, something like that, that is not meant to come back together. And again, I think this is why there's a lot of problems within the twin flame sort of community information that's online, because a lot of people attach that label to their connection when that's not actually what it is. So it causes a lot of confusion, you know. But you're a very unique person. So you're someone that's very different to other people, but in the most beautiful way, with this Zebra energy. So you have the sight, you see things differently to other people, you have a very different perspective, but I think you're just struggling to shift it on this because of previous traumas that you've been through. We got to leave behind the Scorpion energy, the mouse energy, and really step into that dragon energy there, really dismantling the ego. And the hummingbird is about knowing where to get your sweet nectar from, how to refill your cup, how to give yourself energy, you know, and really take care of yourself, your soul, your aura, your energy. It's about knowing where to get that from, refilling your own cup, where that love comes from for yourself. But with this stingray energy, you're building your strength, your backbone. And that's what's going to help you to work through this lesson, because obviously this is a painful lesson for you. This is a difficult one for you to move through. And then with the swans on the bottom of the deck, which for me is soulmate energy, swannies. This is the Nightingale. There's something significant about that song, Sing Sweet Nightingale. Please look that song up. Read the words to it. There might be a message in there for you. There's something very, very significant about that. But it's your perspective that is needing to shift here. That's what's delaying the timeline. If you can just start to look at this in a slightly different way, then there is a strong chance that you will come into union with this person, potentially in this wave over the summer. But you've got to start shifting your perspective.